Why is Spider-Man always broke? Batman is rich. Iron Man is rich. Even Superman never seems to worry about paying rent. But Peter Parker can barely survive. It wasn't an accident. Spider-Man was created with real problems, including money problems. Hi, this is JK. Today, we're looking back at Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. To understand that, we have to go back to 1962. At the time, superheroes looked very different. They were adults, strong, confident, successful. They were heroes people admired, but they weren't people most readers could become. Meanwhile, America was changing. For the first time, teenagers had their own music, fashion, and culture. They weren't just children waiting to become adults anymore. But there was one thing they still didn't have: a superhero who looked like them. Then Stan Lee asked a simple question. What if the teenager wasn't the sidekick? What if the teenager was the hero? Many people thought it was a terrible idea. A superhero who worries about homework, got bullied at school, and struggled with money? That didn't sound heroic. But Stan Lee believed readers didn't need another perfect hero. They needed someone who felt real, someone who worried about school, made mistakes, and discovered that ordinary people could do extraordinary things. Then Steve Ditko gave that idea a face. Peter Parker wasn't tall, confident, or popular. He looked like the kind of kid who sat alone in the school cafeteria. For the first time, readers didn't just admire the hero, they recognized him. 40 years later, Sam Raimi understood exactly what made Spider-Man special. He didn't make a movie about powers. He made a movie about growing up. When we first meet Peter Parker, he isn't trying to become a hero. He's trying to figure out who he is. Like many teenagers, he feels invisible. He wants to be noticed. He wants Mary Jane to see him. He wants his life to matter. Then everything changes. Peter gains incredible powers. But notice something. His first instinct isn't to help people, it's to help himself. He enters a wrestling match to make money. He lets a thief escape because he believes it's not my problem. Then Uncle Ben dies. Before he leaves, he tells Peter one sentence that would become one of the most famous lines in movie history. With great power comes great responsibility. Most people remember it as the message of Spider-Man. But I think it's only the beginning. Peter doesn't truly understand those words until Uncle Ben is gone. Before that moment, Peter uses his powers for himself. After Uncle Ben's death, everything changes. For the rest of the movie, Peter never uses his powers for himself again. That's when Uncle Ben's words stop being advice and become Peter Parker's identity. Now think about the final line of the movie. Peter doesn't end the story by talking about his powers. He ends it by answering a question. Who am I?
Who am I?
I'm Spider-Man.
I'm Spider-Man.
At the beginning of the film, Peter is searching for his identity.
Who am I?
By the end, he has found it. That's why Spider-Man is not just a superhero origin story. It's a story about becoming. A story about a young man learning that power doesn't tell you who you are. Your choices do. And maybe that's why Spider-Man changed superhero stories forever. Before Peter Parker, superheroes inspired people because they were extraordinary. Spider-Man inspired people because he was ordinary. He was insecure. He made mistakes. He struggled. But when the moment came, he chose to do the right thing. That is what made him heroic. And maybe that is why the world needed Spider-Man. Not to show us another perfect hero, but to remind us that an ordinary person can still choose an extraordinary purpose. In Spider-Man 2, Peter Parker asks a very different question. Not, who am I, but can I live with who I am? And that is why Spider-Man 2 may be one of the greatest superhero movies ever made. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next review.